So continuing on with the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip comparisons, I'm going to compare it to a phone that's really unconventional and a lot of people might not even see a huge correlation with it, and I honestly don't see a correlation between these phones either, but every time I compare the newest Samsung phone to an iPhone 10, a lot of people are always interested in it. I'm not really too sure why, maybe because a lot of people own an iPhone 10, but we're going to go ahead and compare both of these, see how they both compare. Now, when the iPhone 10 came out in 2017, it did cost that price tag about like $1,000, which at the time it was one of the more expensive phones on the market, even more expensive than a lot of the Samsung Galaxy phones that were out. And then about like 2 years later we got the Galaxy Fold, and now we have the Z Flip, which are in the almost $1,400 price tags. And the iPhone 10 since then does not cost that $1,000. On Amazon you can pick one up for around $400, which is actually a really cheap price to pay for a phone like this. Where the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip is costing, like $1,400 right now. I'm sure in the used market they'll eventually go down in price, but Samsung is still doing this thing where they're kind of, slowly releasing them. And apparently there's like a delay in the process in China of getting these things out and made. So who knows the next time that Samsung's going to push out another release for these. But the iPhone 10 right now you can pick up on Amazon for that price, and that's a huge advantage for the iPhone 10. And price per value, you're almost getting a better price per value on an iPhone 10 than in a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip, if I'm being honest. If you want to pick up an iPhone 10 for around that $400 price tag, I'll leave a link down. The first link down in the description will take you to Amazon. You can buy from there and help support the channel at the same time. Looking on the front of both phones, the iPhone 10 has a Super Retina OLED 5.8-inch display, and it's a really good display. It's 1125 by 2436 pixels, and really it's more or less the same as what I expect from even the newer iPhones. It's really holding up very well. I'm pretty sure Samsung sources these panels too, so they make these panels for the iPhones, and Samsung did a tremendous job with it. One really awesome thing I like about the iPhones, especially the iPhone 10, is that for a majority of iPhone users that I've seen, there's very little burn-in on the displays. I've bought so many iPhone 10s and so many iPhone 10s's and all these phones with OLED displays, and a lot of them, most of the time used, don't have burn-in on them, which is amazing. Where when I buy a used Samsung Galaxy phone, it almost always has some type of burn-in on it, either the nav bar, status bar, whatever the case is. On my iPhone 10, there's literally no burn-in on it, which is so cool. The Samsung Galaxy Z Flip has a 6.7-inch foldable dynamic AMOLED display. The only problem is it is a 1080p display. It's not a bad display at all, but I think the iPhone 10's display might be a little bit better. It does have a 1.1-inch Super AMOLED display on the front. It's like the cover display thing, so when you fold it down, you can actually utilize that screen a little bit, which is cool. You can't really get a lot of information from it. You can, I guess, take selfies on it, but it's a very small screen, so I don't know why you'd even want to use it in the first place. But that display on the Z Flip is, I would classify it as pretty much in the middle. It's not like a horrible display at all, but it's definitely not a tremendous display either, and maybe Samsung could have done a better job. I mean, they put like a way higher resolution panel on the Samsung Galaxy Fold than they did on this one, so I'm not really too sure what they were thinking, but it is what it is. What are we going to do about it? On the bottom, both have their designated charging ports, the USB Type-C on the Z Flip, Lightning port on the iPhone 10, no headphone jacks on either of these things. On the back, glass backs on both we have dual camera setups on both as well. It's hard to say what the back and the front is because the Galaxy Z Flip does fold, so it's kind of confusing a little bit. Both phones lack microSD card slot support, which is really weird because the Z Flip costs so much and the Samsung Galaxy S20 has a microSD card slot, but the Z Flip doesn't, which is a really weird thing. So the Z Flip also has face recognition kind of unlocking feature, but it does have a fingerprint sensor built into the power button, which is awesome. The iPhone 10 has Face ID, and between both, one doesn't really outperform the other one in terms of the way they feel in the hand. Of course, the Z Flip has that novelty feature of it being folding and unfolding, but really, since I've owned it, practically, it just doesn't really make much sense to do it. I mean, of course you're going to have to do it if you own it to unfold it and everything, but I wouldn't spend more money to have a folding phone like this just yet. If it had some crazy cool features that were like exclusive to this phone, then 100% I would, but there's really nothing that makes me want to pick up this phone because it's a watered down version of a Galaxy S10 in a way, you know what I mean? So there's really no point to pick it up because it doesn't have any features that the S10 doesn't have. And that phone came out last year, which is crazy. So in terms of the outside, that really pretty much covers it. Now hitting on the software, the iPhone 10 came out with iOS 11.1.1. You can get iOS 13 on it, and it's going to last for a couple more years in terms of software. I'm going to assume that it's probably going to last as long as the iPhone XS and XR. Now, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I could be right too. And I'm not really too sure. It's kind of in the middle of what's going to happen here, but the iPhone X is definitely going to last for a very, very long time still. Whereas on the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip, it's kind of going to last a long time too, but definitely not as long as the iPhone X when that one started. The Galaxy Z Flip is starting with One UI 2, which is on Android 10, and it's going to get One UI 3 and potentially One UI 4. I'm not really too sure. The thing is, and the main issue is that I'm not really too sure how long the foldable phones are getting the software updates, because if you look at the Samsung Galaxy Notes, those technically don't get the same amount of softwares as the Samsung Galaxy S series for that year. So I'm pretty sure the Z Flip's going to last as long as the S20, so I'm pretty sure it's going to get One UI 3 and One UI 4. But even then, the iPhone X has the potential of outlasting the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip, and that phone came out, so many years ago, and the Z Flip is the newest one, and it's kind of weird how that happens. I think, Samsung definitely needs to extend their software support. It's kind of weird that they're still doing this. It is what it is, though, but if I had to say it and if I had to tell them, they should definitely consider opening their software support if they want to be more competitive to even older iPhones in terms of software. So in terms of software support, that really pretty much covers it. Now, hitting on the performance, the iPhone X has the Apple A11 Bionic chip, a hexa-core CPU, and there were two different models, a 64 and 256 gigabyte models, and both those models had 3 gigabytes of RAM. With the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 Plus chipset, an octa-core CPU, and Adreno 640 GPU. There's only one model of the Z Flip, the 256 gig model, with 8 gigabytes of RAM. What I can tell you about the performances is it's kind of like what I've said about the other iPhone, or even iPhone 11 versus Z Flip comparison. I've always found that the Samsung phones, even the Z Flip in this case, seem to be faster than the iPhone series. So the Z Flip, I think, is faster than the iPhone X, but I feel like the iPhone X might be the smoother phone still. And what I mean by that is whenever I do anything on my Z Flip, really it's fast, but it's just kind of glitchy all over the place. If I click something to open, things move all around the place, and there's random sounds, and I might accidentally tap the screen and it'll actually recognize that as real touch, where on iPhones it doesn't usually do that sometimes. There's random pop-up notifications, all that stuff, and it's just a really bogged down kind of performance that I'm getting on this phone. Even though it's fast, it's glitchy because of the background processes of One UI. That's a humongous problem with the software. It's just always running so many things in the background. Whereas on the iPhone X, it's a smooth, minimalistic operating system. There's not too many things going on in the background unless you want many things going on in the background. And because of that, it's just a smooth experience overall. Now, because of that, it does take a little bit of hit on performance. It's not the fastest thing in the world because it's not the newest thing. The iPhone 11 is a very fast device, but the iPhone X, because it came out a while ago, it's not running the same chipset as, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 Plus is in terms of the Apple chips, if that makes any sense. So I think in terms of performance, they both have their strong suits. One is way faster, one is way smoother, and I guess you guys were going to have to take the judge for this one, but I don't really think one completely wins here. That's the thing. Even though the iPhone X is 3 years old, I don't even consider that one the loser, and because the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip is the new one, I don't really even consider that one the winner. So I think that really pretty much covers it up there. Now, hitting on the cameras, the iPhone X has two 12 megapixel sensors, a wide-angle lens, and a telephoto lens. On the front, they have a 7 megapixel standard lens, and the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip has two 12 megapixels as well, a wide-angle lens but an ultra-wide sensor, so a little bit of a difference in terms of the camera setup, and a 10 megapixel front-facing camera. Now on both phones we can shoot 4K at up to 60 frames per second, which is really, really cool, and I think both phones take tremendous photos. Maybe the Z Flip takes better photos a little bit. I found that phone to be extremely great at taking photos, and it's kind of like the S10's camera just without that telephoto lens. The iPhone X though, it still has a lot of things going for it, and I do like it. And you do have that telephoto lens, which some people might like, but I think both of them, they both have their strong suits like I stated. The iPhone X also has optical image stabilization and that telephoto lens, which is really cool. But like I said, I don't think one definitely wins over the other one. I think they're both pretty close. So in terms of the camera quality, I'll probably give them both a thumbs up. I like the software on the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip though. I feel like that one definitely has more features, but in terms of the camera, I give both a thumbs up. Now ending it off with the battery life, the iPhone X has a 2716 mAh battery, where the Galaxy Z Flip has a 3300 mAh battery. They both have wireless charging, which is cool. The Samsung Galaxy Z Flip does have that reverse wireless charging, which is an awesome feature, and that's something a lot of phones do not have right now. So in my opinion, that's a really, really awesome thing. And between both, I kind of think that the Z Flip might have the better battery life. It does have a bigger battery, and the screen is a little bit lower resolution, which is nice. But it's not by much. If the battery life on the Samsung Galaxy Flip was a 10 out of 10, the iPhone X would be probably a 9 out of 10 maybe. You also have to remember that the screen is smaller on the iPhone 10, and also, it's not running like a huge operating system like One UI 2. It's a very minimalistic operating system at the end of it and at the core of it, so that's a humongous thing to note. And to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you pick up a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip or should you keep your iPhone 10 or vice versa, or whatever the case is? And I'll tell you, for a better value per dollar, you're getting a much better value per dollar on an iPhone 10 over a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip. In my opinion, there's really no reason to pick up a Z Flip. Once those things depreciate in value, then I would kind of recommend it. Before that $1,400, it's not worth it at all. I would way recommend picking up an S10 Plus, and you can get those things for like $400, probably like less than $500 right now. And that is a humongous value per phone that you're getting from that phone than you are from a Z Flip, to be honest. So the Z Flip is good if you have all the money in the world and you just want to flex on people, but other than that, I would not recommend picking up this phone at all. Like I said, if you want to pick up an iPhone 10 or even an S10 Plus, I'll leave those linked down in the description so you can get it from there. But that is pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section as well. Hit that like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.